What up, this your boy Kenneth Stones, aka Kofi Weasons, one half of the Dirty Hills podcast, and you are watching the 1130 podcast. Not 730, but it is 730. But you watching my guy Dre from the 1130 podcast. Man, make sure y'all hit that like, share, subscribe button. And this is Dirty Hills Approved.
I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. 1130 podcast, Dre on wheels, he is the one. Let's get it, yeah. Who with me? Let's get it, yeah. No, with me, yeah. I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. Let's get it. 1130 podcast, Dre on wheels, he is the one. He the one, nigga. So let's get it, baby. He the one with me.
Yo, what it do, everybody? It's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels. This is episode 61 of the 1130 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling. What's goody, everybody doing out there, man, on this Friday? Good morning, good night, good afternoon to all my listeners all across the world. Yes, all over the States, Canada, Germany, the UK. You know what it is, man. Thank you guys for joining me back here on Talk Pro Wrestling. It is Friday. Wherever you're listening to me at, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you're listening at, even on YouTube to the 1130 Podcast YouTube channel. Yes, and if you already have done so, sit back. This is going to be a great one, you guys. I hope everybody Friday is going wonderful. The weekend is upon us, and so it's Talk Pro Wrestling, you guys. Man, we're going to get into all of that, you guys, man. We got a cool show. Yes, you guys, lined up this week on the podcast, you guys. Like I was saying, I got a great guest, you guys. Great guest lined up all the way from Chicago, Illinois, you guys. He's the host of the Midwest Marks podcast. Yes, my guy, Eli Guydi, is going to be joining me here in just a bit, you guys. But before we get into that, shout out my guest who was on last week, Warren Marlowe. Yes, for the Buzzing with Marlowe podcast. Appreciate you, my guy, for chopping it up, man, here on wrestling, man. It was fun. It was nothing but fun, nothing but positive vibes. Speaking of positive vibes, man, we're going to get into everything here on the podcast, you guys, this week. Yes, man. Like I said, my guest, great guest, dope guest, man, because it's, man, I came across the guy just, networking in the podcast groups. I was looking for a guest to be on and chopping it up, man, here on the podcast, and my guy Eli Guydi reached out and was like, yo, I'm down. So you know what? We ain't gonna waste no time. Eli, how's it going, bro?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for inviting me on the show. Very, very big fan.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you. Responding back, man, and being in these groups, man. It becomes helpful. Sometimes it could be a little bit too much, a lot going on. But yo, man, especially trying to connect with somebody, especially wrestling, man, is really, really cool. So once again, like I said before the show, I appreciate you. Leaving a comment and wanted to be on the podcast, chop it up on some wrestling.
Yeah, I'm finding it very hard to navigate this podcast world. I started not too long ago, back in May. Got some friends together after we watched AEW Double or Nothing. When I just looked to my friend, I was like, "We should start a podcast." And he was like, "You know what? That's it, my guy." So here I am.
Yeah, that podcast is the thing right now, man. You sit around, like I said, I talked about this a lot of times. Like I had a buddy all the time who was around a lot, especially like a couple of years ago. And man, we would just sit back and just, either go to wrestling events when, you can go to wrestling events, or sit back and just chop it up with wrestling. So, at that time, I didn't know what a podcast was, but hey, here we go now, chopping it up on some wrestling. But how's your day? How's your day been?
Pretty good. Coming off of yesterday's great show and then the day before with NXT AEW, as wrestling fans, I feel like right now we're all winning. We're getting great content, great matches, and great surprises like we got yesterday.
Yeah, man. We got a huge surprise. We got a Wednesday night, man. We're going to get into all of that. Before we do, Eli, man, for my viewers and listeners who are not familiar with you, tell them a little something about you.
Yeah, sure. I started the Midwest Marks podcast. Thank you for getting that night. Someone said it was like the Midwest Mook podcast. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, I started that not too long ago. I've been a wrestling fan pretty much all my life. I remember vaguely when I was like 8 years old, I went over to my cousin's house and he had the video game. Don't remember which exact one it was, but all I remember is he kept on destroying us. And I have memories of crying a lot. So that was that. But then I found out wrestling was actually real. These were actually real dudes getting in there and grappling and, doing moves. Jeff Hardy is my childhood hero, being able to jump off stuff and look like nothing could hurt him. So growing up that and seeing all and learning more about WWE, WrestleMania, WCW, all of that, and I'm still in love with it. I have a passion for pro wrestling. I'm just honored and grateful to be part of the wrestling community and be talking to wonderful wrestling fans just like you.
Hey man, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's kind of similar, man, how I got into wrestling. I've been a big wrestling fan since I was a little boy, man. My cousin, I would always go to my cousin's house and he had some of these WCW games and I played with like Goldberg. I knew who Goldberg, Sting was, some of the popular guys, but I wasn't really into it all the way. But I was like, yo, man, I really dig this, man. I really dig this. What was your favorite wrestling game?
I would have to say WWE versus Raw 2007 because that was with the GM mode. That whole like section of gaming, I was just like, I could like put like whatever show I want to do and what matches I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Fell in love with it. When people were already like on 2K12, I'm still playing 07 and just like making my matches and what I'm like, hey, I'm cool. I want this right here.
Mm-hmm. That was me all the way. I think it was 07, man. I was loving that. It was Raw and SmackDown, and you had I was always a Monday Night Raw guy. It was live, and of course, Raw nowadays is it's all over the place. We're gonna get into that, but yeah, I know, right? But yeah, I was a Raw guy, man, and I think the general manager for Raw was Stephanie, and I think the general manager for SmackDown was Teddy Long. Because I maybe got the years mixed up.
I think Stephanie was more on SmackDown. You had Shane on Raw and some other guy that I don't remember his name.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember the GM, man. I used to love it, man. Create my old matches. And now with the whole 2K, you got the WWE Universe mode. So I really enjoyed that one because same thing, create your own matches. You the general manager. More so though, but yo, man, been a big wrestling fan. Like, what was the moment that got you into it? You said Jeff Hardy is, your jumping hero off the top rope guy. What kind of got you
as a kid? Watching people do dangerous stunts was just part of the gimmick, I guess, for being a little kid. But actually, understanding what wrestling is and like who is the heel, who is the baby face, and then watching something get turned on its head, I gotta go with The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. You can't get better than that WrestleMania match. That electricity that was in that atmosphere at that WrestleMania was something I could feel from just watching from TV. I wasn't there, but I could feel everything that was going on. The people were supposed to, not like Hulk Hogan for a little bit, but he won them over. The Rock is The Rock. Yeah. What more can you say about The Rock? He's great. And just watching that whole dynamic, people cheering Hulk Hogan up, that kind of stuff really just like resonates with me because you're not thinking about negative. You're only thinking about positive and what's going on and sharing that love for what you guys are watching at the same time.
Yeah, man, you right about that, man. That moment, that moment in that match itself, hands down one of my favorite The Rock moments. He's like the number one wrestler that I enjoyed watching throughout the time I've been a fan. He's like my favorite superstar. And that moment, that match, when both of them look at the fans and they come back and the flash bulbs, everything about that match is just awesome, man. I love it. But once again, Eli, man, I appreciate you joining me on your here on the podcast. I was about to say your podcast. You have an awesome podcast called the Midwest Marks Podcast. Can you tell my listeners about your podcast?
Yeah, we are. We're young guns. I'm just coming in, and over time, I will always be a WWE fan. I will always have cherished those moments that they have made. But along the way, I found, these guys that were not in WWE that were across the ways in Japan. You might know them. They're called the Young Bucks. They're called Kenny Omega, the Elite. And just watching their YouTube clips and seeing their growth, I became an instant fan of AEW when they announced it. I've been following AEW. That's not perfect, but they're trying something new, and we get to see a whole new perspective of wrestling. I'm following that. I have a couple of guys with me that are also following that. We are also mostly not doing the main shows. We are following AEW Dark, their YouTube channel show, and also AEW Dark Elevation. We get to see new wrestlers people that are just starting out, but you have people that have done it that think, okay, they've got something. Mm-hmm. That's what really like captivates me now, like seeing someone grow and get better. Example, Kylan King on that show, she was terrible in the ring. And now, looking at her growth now, people are asking for her to get signed by AEW. Just that growth and seeing how someone put that hard work in, it makes me think like, hey, I can do more. I can put the work in and do more. And that's what I wanted to do the podcast about, like showing people's growth, also giving back to the wrestling community for giving so many moments when I was coming up. So put some more spotlight on those wrestlers. The fans, get them a chance to voice their opinion, just like you're letting me do with that. Thank you, kind sir. And yeah, just that, and that's what the podcast is about. And just keeping up with all wrestling news, anything that's going on, and yeah, being a fan. It's a podcast for the fans by the fans.
Hey man, that's really cool. That's really cool, man. I have a couple of guests each and every week, always, man. They come on the podcast, talk about AEW, whether I'm talking about it or they bring it up. Kind of like the first guy who been, said, man, I love AEW since, of course they got their, flaws and everything. But what is it about AEW that you love?
It's hard to be a wrestling fan these days and not be a little bit of a cynic. One thing that kind of drew me away from another company was you're pleasing one person. You're not really pleasing the general audience of what they want to see. There's been times where, they felt that pressure from their audience and was like, okay, we got to do this. But now with AEW, they have that resonation with the fans. They've been all over and soaked all that, what the people want, what is on the indie scene, what's cool, what's kind of not being cool. You don't see people doing like DDTs as finishers anymore. You see them doing Canadian destroyers. That whole new, era of wrestling. Some people want to shy away from it, but there's a new vibe, a new thing to keep that going, keep traditions, but also adding to it. And I feel like AEW really captures that. They know what that young wrestling fan wants. They know what that kid what they want to see, and keep on changing it to make them stay with it. That for me, I think AEW is right on the pulse with that. It may not come out cool. There's stuff that they do that we're not ready for, but that's okay because they see that reaction and they will change accordingly. You can't really say the same with other promotions. They this is our way. We're keeping it this way. Get off or stay with us. Either or.
Hey man, that's a valid point. I respect that. I really do. I dig AEW. They first show television show Dynamite was here in DC, so I was there, really supported them. It was a different atmosphere since I've been to a Raw, SmackDown, or NXT here in DC or wherever I went to a show. So AEW is fresh, it's new, it's not PG, which I don't think wrestling should be, but it's a lot of things that maybe come off, which a lot of people say that is very indie. And for it to be, a big professional wrestling company, it needs to come off professional. So, that's some people's thoughts, and that's my thoughts on it. I dig AEW Dark. I have a guy who's going to be on a couple of weeks, who've been on AEW Dark, and a couple of guys who've been on work AEW Dark, and it's great for the indies, especially during the coronavirus when a lot of guys weren't able to work and stuff like that. It was a great time to, getting them exposure and stuff like that. I hear you kind of like hinting towards WWE as a, sticking to one sort of pace. What is it that they're doing that I guess you're not liking? Of course, we all heard about the numerous of releases and, stuff and bad decisions and bookings, but what is it with the WWE that's changing your mind?
When it comes to in-ring work, there's no one better, like bar none. WWE, they put their talent to work and make sure they are a professional. That's the key word when talking about wrestling, when being that top tier. It's not the wrestlers. It's not, the in-ring ability. It's the booking and who is booking it. And this, and from, if you're putting on just a regular wrestling show, and you're going to get those, like little kids, like when I was little, oh man, this is awesome. They're going to like whatever you put in front of them. But like how I was saying, as they're growing and, you know, wanting to see, like, I want like more mature stories or more mature comedy and whatnot, you gotta be able to say, okay, well, you guys want to see this? Okay, we'll do this, but we're gonna try this as well. And you don't really see that much from WWE. You see the head of creative is usually one person, Vince McMahon, you know, wanting to say, hey, this is my vision and this is how we're gonna do it. And it can be hit or miss, and a lot lately as people are getting up in age. We're all gonna go through it, and, you know, and living a lifestyle that you're not really close to the people, especially with the pandemic that went on. Things are not gonna, you know, meet eye to eye. Example, Hell in a Cell 2019, Seth Rollins versus The Fiend. The Fiend was white hot. People wanted to see The Fiend destroy Seth Rollins. We didn't get that. We got kind of like an internal struggle of Seth deciding whether he wants to be a babyface or a heel. Then they did something that wasn't consistent with what they showed us in Hell in a Cell. There is no DQ. You can do whatever. As long as someone gets pinned in that mat or taps out, you'll get a winner. We didn't get that. We got ref stoppage after Seth was beating The Fiend too hard, and then they just ended the show. For me, that was the point where I was like, okay. There was already stuff that I would, you know, had my gripes with, but that was one I was like, no, you guys are not with it anymore. And they lost me as a fan, unfortunately, but I still cherish what they did. There's stuff they're doing and pushing right now. We just had Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. So there's stuff they can change, and it looks like they're heading in that direction. It's going to take some, you know, more goodwill and good faith for me to get, you know, be on that same level as hype for WWE as I was.
Okay. So just the bookings that they have done lately have kept you being, you know, a consistent fan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Hey, that's valid, man. That's totally valid. And I do remember that, you know, watching with my buddy, man, and Seth, you know, basically getting demolished by Bray Wyatt, and, you know, Bray Wyatt is sort of, you know, also whipping Seth Rollins' ass, and he pulls out this big old sludge, and the referee just calls it all. That looks like the worst Hell in a Cell match ever, you know, because it was supposed to end by 1, 2, 3, and I literally said when that match was going on, I said, that's WWE. I think they shot themselves in the foot. Like, and I was like, what are they doing here? Because, you know, to hear everything that came on even after the pay-per-view went off, and how the fans just destroyed everybody, you know, basically calling them everything in the book and this, that, da. You know, it's wild. You know, it's wild. You know, and I experienced a lot of stuff. I done seen a lot of stuff. I still watch, you know, and I think that's the thing, you know, with, you know, fans. Either you're gonna stop watching or you're gonna stop complaining. You know, so it's either one. So, but I totally get you, man. They all over the place, though. All over the place. But you guys, man, we're going to move on here on Talk Pro Wrestling, you guys. And we're going to get into some trending topics that have been going down in wrestling this week, you guys. Jimmy Uso, you guys, who's in a hot angle right now with his brother Jey Uso and the head of the table, Roman Reigns, Universal Champion on SmackDown. Jimmy came back, like I said, is in a big angle, and right now I don't know how they're going to manage this on SmackDown, but yeah, he was arrested for DUI. He kind of like was basically tore up behind the wheel and stuff like that. A lot of fans, they say they may work this into the storyline with the whole bloodline and stuff. What's your thoughts?
Just don't do what they did with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. We don't need that. Just no. If everything is good and he is in a good place, that's what should be in everyone's mind. Like, is Jimmy Uso okay? Is that man okay to, you know, go to work? Is he okay? You know, what kind of help does he need? Does he want help? That should be the first thing in everyone's mind, obviously. But when it comes to, you know, back to the storyline, or should they integrate it? No, we've seen that it doesn't work out well. Maybe they can do another angle of him not, you know, getting into trouble or something, getting into fights or something. But no, they shouldn't do that.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with you. We all seen it with Jeff Hardy, though. Jeff Hardy, Sheamus thing was not great at all, though. But Yeah, he really needs some help because we've seen the same thing that happened with Jeff right now on there. So, yeah, we really need help for Jimmy Uso. But how do you feel about the whole story about that?
Well, I mean, what bad timing. They're about to get back on the road. They're going to their home of Texas. They keep on saying that. I'm like, it's Connecticut. We all know it. That's another thing. Bad timing, and he's a main part of that story. The best thing, arguably, in WWE right now is the tribal chief head of the table story with Roman Reigns, and Jimmy Uso was looking like he's being that crux of being a great part of that, and now things are in question. I also heard that management's not too happy with him at the moment. We have only, a day to decide what's going to happen with him. They're going to have to come down with a decision. Either way, they're going to have to really use that creative brain that they have at WWE. So I'm rooting for him. I like the Roman Reigns storyline. I hope they keep on bringing good story.
Yeah, they keep on bringing good story every Friday night and see what happens. See what happened with it. Another person returned. Zelina Vega. Was a whole lot of story going around that she was going to AEW, but I guess not. She returned back to WWE. What's your thoughts on? Do you think WWE? Because I spoke on WWE not deserving Samoa Joe after they fired him and brought him back to NXT. Sort of did the same way with a couple of guys since the pandemic, but they did it with Zelina Vega. How you feel about that one?
The Zelina Vega situation is very unique. It's unique because somebody, was trying to make money on the side. They're not being portrayed on WWE TV a lot. And they're saying, all right, well, that's cool. I'm here to work with you guys whenever I want, but I still want to, do something that I want to do. I want to, do cosplay. I want to do this. And, everyone else is doing it and no one had a problem before. Why is that a bad thing? WWE is, doing their thing. They want to have that control hey, once you sign that contract, I was in the military. Once you sign that contract, it's pretty much what they want. But, you got to give some give and take with that as well, especially when someone's putting their body on the line for your product.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole situation, I have my stance on it. I don't like it. It was bad. It was just bad all the way around. And then to release her, and then she did something that, their worst nightmare for WWE. Start unionization, started getting cozy with, people that are trying to make sure WWE is, paying their fair share and whatnot. That put, I thought that was that's it. She's never going to be going back to that company again. That's it. It's over. But then we got a report that she's showing up at the Performance Center. And I was like, okay. I mean, if they can work it out, and I know it's corny as how they always say it, never say never. All it takes is a conversation with Vince McMahon. That's all it takes. And you can say what you want about him, but the man is a businessman. He knows what the people want. People like seeing Zelina Vega. I like seeing Zelina Vega. And I hope that her husband doesn't kill me for saying that. He's awesome, by the way. But you know what? I'm not gonna crap on it. If that's where she wanted to be, because she's stated before, that's her dream. She wanted to be a wrestler, much like a lot of us. I'm not gonna crap on it. Hey, go do your thing. I'll say this: fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. You get what I'm trying to say. But
yeah, I totally get what you're trying to say, man. Because I think, because they always call them independent contractors, I think they should be able to, do, things outside of, the WWE, and then you want to stop, everything. So it's crazy. And then she was really hot, especially before straight out of, I think, the pandemic, when I believe she was wrestling Bianca Belair on Raw. Yeah, she was doing her thing. And I was like, okay, she got something. And that's, she was with Andrade, but all that one fell flat. But excited to see Zelina back in WWE. Another thing, speaking of women wrestling, we had new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions in Zoe Starks and Io Shirai. Man, I dig it. Did you enjoy the Great American Bash this past Tuesday?
I did catch some of it. I was doing my recording for my podcast at the time, but I did catch it. One of my broadcast team, he was like, "Oh, I can't be on the podcast today, and I texted him. He was like, "What?" I was like, "You're watching the Great American Bash, aren't you?" Yep. From what I've seen from Zoe Stark, she's great. She's just starting out. She's doing fantastic. Io Shirai, she can have my babies. That's all I got to say. She's fantastic. She's amazing in the ring. Gotta say, not really feeling them as a tag team. They feel like they're just throwing people together. And I know that kind of sounds weird because we had Kenny Omega and Adam Page thrown together, and they became a tag team. So it can work, but it feels like they're doing it way too much, especially with those new NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. They need to make those titles mean something more. Hey. So I'm happy for it. I'm glad to see them. They're actually doing something with Io Shirai. Main roster, please keep her in NXT until they figure out something they want to do with her. So I'm happy to see it, but let's do something. Make it mean something. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, they're kind of make it mean something. They're kind of like throwing the belts or throwing women tag teams together. You had Amber Moon and Chauncey Blackheart, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. They sort of throw them together in a way, and Zoe Starks and Io Shirai. But man, hey, they need to make it more credible. Let somebody hold on to the tag team titles for a little longer and create a great stable women's tag team division in NXT. The thing about throwing them together, AEW threw Kenny Omega and Hangman together, but I'm kind of liking the story how it's coming about right now. All full circle, because they were tag team partners. Kenny Omega was a drunk, or maybe still is. I don't really see him drinking a lot though, but coming full circle. So hey, I dig it. I dig it. Speaking of dig it, I did dig on NXT. What did you think about the concert, the Hit Row concert?
I like Hit Row. Swerve Scott is very talented. They need to lock that man down and keep him. He is great on the mic. He can do a lot of things in ring. He is a prodigy. Very talented. Keep that man in NXT, please. And they gave him a great faction with Hit Row. Their look is, is fresh. It's something we really haven't seen too much before. It's not too much, but I'm fearing they're kind of going to play on that harp on a little bit too much. It's more, show, don't so much tell. That the rap they did, I wasn't really feeling it. A lot of people got the mixed reaction from it, from whatever. I wasn't feeling it too much, but I'm not going to crap on them because we've got, an African-American faction in wrestling again that, is getting a shot on one of the top wrestling promotions. I'm not going to crap on it. So, but I'm hoping to see good things from Hit Row.
Yeah, I'm looking to see all but nothing great things come from them. Like you said, mixed reactions was nothing. There was nothing but mixed reactions from the people in the Capitol Wrestling Center. They didn't seem like they enjoyed it so much, or they didn't understand really what was going on. It did say championship celebration, Cypher, but it was a concert to say the least. It was okay. Hey, I said this a couple of weeks ago to my guy Derek from the Rap and Wrestle podcast. He covered a lot of wrestlers who do rap and music and stuff like that incorporated into one. And I was like, I got a feeling that Hit Row is gonna do something like this and maybe put out a Hit Row album, something like how Elias did. But hey, it was pretty cool for what it was. Another thing, big huge matchup that in the NXT, which I feel like was the matchup of the week. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, baby, they did their thing. And you spoke about Io Shirai staying in NXT until they find until they find something for her to do on the main roster. Is it time for Adam Cole to come up to the main roster? Do you think he ran his course enough in NXT?
From what they've been showing us with Samoa Joe, choking Cole out, and I think Britt Baker's boyfriend it's time for him to move up to the main roster. He is talented beyond belief. He's putting over one of his best mates and Kyle O'Reilly. Cool, Kyle. Okay. But they've been having amazing matches. The one that Great American Bash was really amazing. I liked it, and yeah, I think it's time for Adam Cole to come up to the main roster. Raw needs new life. Raw needs a reason for you to tune in to watch somebody rise. Adam Cole could fill that spot perfectly.
He damn sure will, man. That would be great. That would be great because Raw's very, very, difficult to sit through them whole 3 hours with no really star power. Drew McIntyre is a babyface now, so it's kind of like it's not going. He really don't have no competition. He just, I guess, he had a matchup with Jinder Mahal on Monday. Was I guess the newest opponent Drew has faced in a long time. So, and it ain't even all that great. But okay, we're gonna move on, you guys, here on the podcast. Tommy N, you guys, better known as Aleister Black, also known as Malakai Black, was the big surprise that came out of Wednesday night, everybody. But before the whole surprise, I think the backstory is even more shocking. The fact that he still had his NXT contract while he was on the main roster, and they failed to update his contract to 90-day no compete clause, once they release him. Instead, he kept it 30 days. What's your thoughts on that one right there?
You saw me doing my little dance. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time from WCW, and looking back, like how he held down back then, Booker T, man, you should know what creativity looks like, my guy. I respect the hell out of you, bro. Aleister Black, this man, he oozes creativity. You can see the gears turning in his mind when he was in NXT, and he was on fire in NXT. Apparently, they kept the same contract, so that's a fumble on WWE again. They've had reporters call people Bobby Ashley. They've had people that hired people that don't know what wrestling is. These are the things like the booking and management that makes me like question WWE a lot more as I'm getting older. So that was a big fumble. All I can say is it's to our benefit, though. We get to see Aleister Black. We get to see this man go to AEW and show what he can do, and maybe have a storyline that doesn't get cut off at the beginning.
Yeah. Some say that maybe it wasn't an accident, but normal, people, they get released, they got the the 90-day no compete clause. But if WWE really wanted Aleister Black, they would have really updated it, or who knows. But man, the storytelling is amazing with him, though. I really like it. I like the whole Malakai Black. I don't like the fact that he's going after Cody, even though Cody is the guy of AEW. It could be someone else. But, man, I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. It was a huge shocker. I knew something was up when the lights went out. I really knew something was up. I was like, okay. And, for it to be, they first time back on the road in Miami, too, to seeing the fans and everything, man, it's been a long time. But, hey, AEW got Tommy in. That's cool. Another thing that was cool on AEW this week, you guys, bad, so for the fan, I guess, who tried to get in the ring with MJF and Chris Jericho. Not a good thing. It seemed like everybody who tries to get in the ring, the fan always gets some type of punches by the superstars. Jericho punched the fan that tried to get in the ring on AEW this week. Did you hear about that story?
I didn't hear about it. I saw it. I was like, really? Did you really hate MJF that much? And yeah, he does got that, that go away heat, or I want to beat your ass heat. But did you see the video someone posted on Twitter? Like the guy getting like dragged out, like literally dragged, like through the stadium into the back. That was kind of wild. Don't do that. That's all. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Then you'll never get to go to a live show again. Don't do it. It's not. Don't do it.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth it, man. It was crazy. Now MJF is really dope though, but I don't think but see, I think that's where you got him, I guess, where you could do your job in the middle of the ring where a guy really wants to jump over the barricade to really, hurt you though. I guess you're doing your job though. But speaking of MJF though, I'm really digging him though. Him and Jericho got this feud going on Dynamite. When it's going to come to an end?
Well, it looks like he's going to put him through like a, trial and error kind of thing if he has to beat all the members of the Pinnacle. But if he loses, he doesn't get that match with MJF. And Chris Jericho did kind of hint that he's going to, he might have to step away, or this might be one of his last matches. They could play this a million type of ways. I don't think it should. We should not get another MJF versus Chris Jericho match. I think they're going to play in a way that he's going to fail, and we might be seeing the last of Chris Jericho.
Is it time for Chris Jericho to go ahead and wrap it up?
You know what? I think he's reached that level of status, and no matter what he does, people are going to watch him. But he has put over some new talent: MJF, Sammy Guevara, Santana Ortiz. He resurrected Jake Hager's wrestling career. I think we've seen that he's brought people up to being new stars or on their way to being stars. So I think it is time for him to step away as far as being that main event wrestling guy.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Chris Jericho has, done his thing. And don't get me wrong, man. I love Chris Jericho, man, from Y2J to, just all of them. I mean, even though he said on Dynamite, Y2J was dead to the fan, but, every version of Chris Jericho is just amazing. What guy in wrestling has reinvented himself this many times and on each level has been on top, just been the top. So come on, everybody sings his theme song when he comes to the ring. Like, all right, come on, he's Chris Jericho. So
when they put Chris Jericho as the AEW World Champion, the first AEW World Champion, I had no doubt in my mind. There's a guy who's done it all, seen it all, been through it all. From when I went to my first show, this guy yelled out loud, like when Chris Jericho came out. He beat Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock in the same damn night. And that always stuck with me. I'm like, this guy's the man. He's the man. And seeing him carry that company on his back, adding so much with Tony Khan and all of that, Chris Jericho deserves that credit. Chris Jericho, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris Jericho. Thank you, Chris Jericho. But we're gonna move on, you guys, here on the podcast. Another guy who made his debut this week on Dynamite was Andrade. Really loving what they're doing with him. How you like the whole formation with him and Vicky Guerrero?
I don't.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you said that because I didn't understand it. I thought it was weird. I really don't get it.
I see what they're trying to do, and it pulls on that lineage of one of the greatest Latino wrestlers of all time, Eddie Guerrero. He got his wife right there. And if they're going to go that route, go for it. If it's not working, go ahead and let Andrade be Andrade. When Andrade was Andrade, yeah, he was okay. That's where he shined.
Yeah, he did. Just being himself. He was with Zelina. Nobody, knew who she was, or maybe they knew who she was, but he was not with, some, a veteran, sort of, like Vicky Guerrero, who's, Eddie Guerrero's, widow and stuff like that. But, I think he should just thrive on his own. If he's going to have a manager, let it be someone else, though. Because I thought Vicky Guerrero had Nyla Rose. So, it's a lot of things going on. Like I said, love AEW, but, they be confusing me sometimes. They really do. One thing was a little confusing, though. I didn't understand who the guy was. Dan Lambert from American Top Team, who was on Dynamite this week, made an interesting promo. Do you think wrestling has went down the toilet since the late 90s?
It has. And, as sooner more fans recognize that wrestling has changed and it's not as popular as it was, that's when you can actually do something about it. You can actually, support those wrestlers who put that work in, that extra work that, that make people love wrestling. Mm-hmm. And, in that with Dan Lambert, he did that thing where they put a promo like you're talking bad, but you're also trying to lift people up to make them think about what's going on and what you should do something, go do something about it. And it actually will make people go do something about it. And also being a shot at Jim Cornette. So that was kind of fun. I was smiling with that. But yeah, it has changed, but it's not dead. Wrestling isn't dead at all. And AEW and some things that WWE is doing and other promotions like MLW is doing. Wrestling is far from dead.
Okay. Hey, man, it's great. It's come on. I know about like 10 years ago, wrestling didn't come on every day of the week. You got Raw Mondays, NXT Tuesdays, AEW, Impact, SmackDown. Whether you got a pay-per-view on the weekend or not, it's so much. So what a time to be a wrestling fan for the young kids, and or just in general though. Just what a time to be a wrestling fan. But you guys, man, we're gonna move on here on the podcast. You guys, Britt Baker made an interesting promo on Dynamite this weekend, this Wednesday actually. I don't like Crown Jewels. I'm pretty sure. What's your thoughts on Crown Jewels every time they go?
I'm not for it. WWE didn't need it. They can, rally their base and come up with some funds with merch and great content. And it just, for me, it didn't hit with me. So, yeah.
It don't. I like the Australia show. I think it was Super Showdown more than I did the Saudi Arabia ones. And none of them, besides the kids, none of them are into it. So it seems like it's some, under the table type of stuff more than anything. So that's all I'm gonna say with that one though. But Blood Money though,
Yeah, her comments were pretty fiery, and people are saying that there was a shot at WWE. She never mentioned WWE in that promo, but I could see why people would be a little up in arms about it. But what's real is real. They took the money, and she was talking about Tony Khan taking the money about signing Andrade and all of that in the storyline. But yeah, I mean, hey, it is what it is. It happened. Accept it. Move on.
Hey, you're right. We're going to have to move on, man, and accept it, man. But AEW is doing this thing next week. We got night one of Fyter Fest, where we're going to see the IWGP champion Jon Moxley defends against Carl Anderson, which seems to be a cool matchup. Jon Moxley got a whole new look going on right now. What's your thoughts on Jon Moxley? Everybody got the mixed feeling, though. They think he's still Dean Ambrose, but nothing really changed. What's your thoughts on him?
Well, one thing I know for sure, he got a bald head now. So that's Jon Moxley. But hey, hair or no hair, he's still a badass wrestler. He comes off as a badass wrestler. I love the guy. He's awesome. Great guy, too, outside of the ring as well. For those who are saying that he's kind of Dean Ambrose, well, maybe he was being Jon Moxley the whole time while he was being Dean Ambrose. He's being him. But as far as this match that's coming up with Carl Anderson, that's one thing I like about this Forbidden Door, letting, get that groundswell from over across the sea in Japan. Carl Anderson is a great wrestler. He went on a tear in New Japan. He helped pretty much as one of the cornerstones of the Bullet Club, and that got so much hype and notoriety without WWE at all. And they got merch. They had everything. They created something that got a lot of people behind it, and it wasn't, WWE's creation. That says a lot. A lot of it came from Carl Anderson and his in-ring work and being with Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and elevating other guys in New Japan as well. So this match, it could go either way. I hope that they do something special with this, especially with being Jon Moxley's return from having his newborn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. He did have a newborn. WWE kind of threw a little shade on him when they posted that post on the Instagram and Twitter, and they was like, "Congratulations, Renee, for having a baby." Oh, so you gonna edit out old Jon Moxley like he wasn't helping her, like she just had the baby by herself, though. But yeah, congratulations to Jon Moxley and Renee. So that's dope, man. That's really dope. See what they're gonna do. But you guys, another thing before we move on, I really do enjoy with AEW is that Forbidden Door where they allow other people, especially with the NWA or if it's another company, Impact, or and they just come in and defend their titles wherever. So it's not just you could just be in just one site or just one place, though. But we're gonna move on, you guys. Here, like I said, on the podcast. Before I let my guy Eli go, you're from Chicago, right?
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
So you excited for All Out this coming September?
I guess I'll announce it on your podcast. I am officially going to All Out. I am going to my first AEW Dynamite at that weekend in September. I can't wait, man. I'm excited. I got to shout out to my boy Mook for helping me get those tickets. Appreciate you, bro. Love you. Thank you.
Hey man, that's gonna be what's up though. That's gonna be what's up. They're gonna be I think that's the first. Well, I don't think that's the first one though. But they're gonna be also filming their new show, AEW Rampage, that's going to be coming on TNT and debuting on TBS next year. So that's kind of cool, man. AEW doing their thing, man. They really doing their thing. Hey, yo, man, Eli, I appreciate you joining me here on the podcast this week. It was an awesome time chopping it up with you, man. Before you go, any shout-outs, any questions, anything you'd like to say?
Just want to say thank you for inviting me, man. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I listened to some of your other ones, and you know your stuff, and that is amazing. Next time I'll just have to bring on my Ray-Bans right here. I should have warned them. I was like, I don't know if my thing I'm a douchebag wearing sunglasses inside or whatever, but it's all good. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for reaching out. And that's what it's all about, man. This is how we help the wrestling community, by talking about wrestling and sharing what we love.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. So keep doing your thing, you guys, man. Go check out his podcast. Tell them the podcast one last time and tell them where they can follow you at on social media.
My name is Eli Guydi, and my name is written in the Book of Kings. I host the Midwest Mark podcast. We are a fan of podcasters, by just having a podcast for the fans, by the fans. You can find me on Twitter at Marks Midwest on Twitter, Spotify at the Midwest Marks podcast. Check us out. If you want to be on the show, hit me up and we'll talk about our wrestling. We'll chop it up.
Hey, man, that's what's up, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much, man. Thank you for being on the podcast this week, my guy. You're welcome anytime. I'm going to stay in contact with you.
Please do. I would love to be back. You're awesome, man. Appreciate you.
Yo, Eli, man, I appreciate you joining me here on the 1130 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling this week, man. Awesome time chopping it up with you, man. You're welcome back here anytime, man. Anytime, because, we got big old SummerSlam coming up. Man, we got a lot of things coming up. The fans coming back. We got AEW fans just returned this past Wednesday. So, next Friday, the fans for, WWE returns and MLW, Ring of Honor, everything, man. So what a time it is to be alive, man. So hopefully WWE switch some things up with ratings and bookings and stop too many of their releases in the coming future. But hey, that's the future is to be old, we got to see what it holds. But yo, I'm excited, man. This has been an awesome episode. Once again, Eli, thank you for joining me on the podcast, you guys. Go check out my guy Eli podcast, you guys. The Midwest Marks podcast, wherever you get your podcast, you guys. So and also my man Eli announced that he's going to be going to All Out this September. So that's going to be real fun, man. Really, really fun. But yo, man, it was fun here on the podcast, you guys, man. It is Friday, so you know what that means, you guys. We got SmackDown tonight. We're going to see more of the story continues, I guess, with the bloodline. And I was talking to Eli earlier, saying if they may incorporate, which we hope they don't, but seems though they could incorporate the story with Jimmy Uso getting the DUI and stuff like that, driving drunk and all that story, all that into the story they got going on with Roman Reigns basically leaving Jimmy high and dry on SmackDown last Friday when Jimmy came out there to confront Edge. Basically like, yo, man, look, yo, Roman, top dog, tribal chief, I got you, bro. Like, and my thing is, where was Roman Reigns? He didn't come out at all. And the story that I'm thinking of where Roman Reigns was, he was somewhere chatting or trying to find Jay. You feel me? Roman might, just like, you cool, but I like Jay, so, and that is kind of, rough right there, right? They go with that storyline where, and they all family, they all cousins, you telling me I got to pick or choose my brother or my cousin? That's crazy, man. That is crazy. That's life though, but that's crazy, man. So let's see where that goes tonight on SmackDown, you guys. And also SmackDown announced they're going to be coming to, I believe, Miami, 2 matches, 1 night, a huge festival outdoors. So let's see what they got going on, man. They really rolling with the ball now that they got fans back. But another thing, you guys, Liv Morgan deserved to be in the Money in the Bank. She seemed like she was snubbed 2 times in a row this week with Zelina Vega and also Carmella. So we're going to see if Liv Morgan make it into the Money in the Bank contract match. We're going to see it. We're going to see it. And also, you guys, do Seth Rollins have a point? Do he have a point? Because I said last week, man, Seth Rollins spoke with Pierce, Adam Pierce. He spoke with Sonya Deville. He wanted the Universal Championship match, and Edge bumped the line. He bumped the line. I feel as though Seth Rollins deserved it, but hey, I'm no rushing on it, and I'm not rushing on it because I know when they do it, it's going to be great. Rumor is that Roman Reigns, of course, is going to take on Edge at Money in the Bank, which is made official. John Cena will be turning at SummerSlam, which Roman Reigns will be taking on. And of course, hopefully, we will find out if The Rock is returning to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania next year. That all is to be hoped for, man, goes down. So, yeah, man, we got that to look forward to on SmackDown tonight, you guys. But NXT, like I was saying earlier, was dope. Shout out to MSK defending their tag team titles against Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. LA Knight defeat Cameron Grimes, man. Cameron Grimes got to get back on the road, man. He's going to the moon. So what's up with that? And Karrion Kross, man, and Johnny Gargano. I'm looking forward to this matchup next week with Samoa Joe is going to be the special referee. That's going to be cool. Let's see what Joe is reminding me of Stone Cold back in 2003. Like, can Joe wrestle now? Because it seemed like he was doing commentary on Raw, which he was good at until he got fired. They brought him back now. He's on NXT. He's sort of, William Regal's bodyguard, basically. Like, if William Regal wasn't taking a break and he wasn't going nowhere, why did Joe have to come in and be like, I don't know. Just like my man Eli said, man, WWE, the decisions they be making is just make you scratch your head a little bit. Make you scratch your head. And definitely I did scratch my head where that DQ was called in a Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt. Like, really? All right. But you guys, man, it's been a hell of a week. It's been an awesome show, you guys, for real. Hope everybody out there staying cool, man, because the temperature is hot. We are going just about in the middle of the summer, you guys. And speaking of summer, we head into SummerSlam, you guys, in Las Vegas. Once again, hope everybody's staying cool because on the West Coast, it's burning hot. And on the East Coast here, it's a little warm too, man. I need me some water. I need to go chill down, cool down. Speaking of that, man. But you guys, man, it's Friday. I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. And stay blessed, man, and stay safe, man, with everything going on in the world, man. Keep doing your thing and keep giving the glory to God, you guys, man. But before I go, you guys, you know what time it is. You know what time it is, man. Yo, don't forget to follow the 1130 podcast on all social media platforms. Follow me on Twitter at Dre on Wheels. Follow me on Instagram at the 1130 podcast. Like the 1130 podcast on Facebook. Subscribe. Yes. Make sure you go on YouTube and subscribe to the 1130 podcast right now. Yeah, subscribe, man. Like it, leave a comment, and do all that great stuff. And also, if you would like to be a guest here on the podcast, email me. That's the 1130 podcast at gmail.com, or just DM me on social media, just how Eli did, man, so we can work, man, for real. It's been an awesome show, man. It really has been an awesome show. Hope everybody keep doing your thing, man. Keep doing your thing. And I will definitely see you guys next Friday. And man, it's been a crazy, interesting week, man. WWE, how you let Aleister Black go like that, though? For real? He on a 30-day contract. He was away for about 4 or 5 shows, and he appeared on AEW. That's something you do not see in modern day wrestling. Now, back in the day in WCW, all day long. Get fired, the next day they on the TV. Or better yet, they get fired and show up on the same night. You feel me? Because then it was taped. Raw was taped, WCW was live. So you get fired on WWE, you were already filmed. That match is going air on that Monday night, but you got fired Saturday. So now you on WCW Monday night. You on both shows. I think Rick Rude did that. Somebody did that. Where they was fired and it was on both shows. Like, come on. But yo, man, Awesome show this week, you guys. Everybody stay safe. Give all the glory to God. Yo, it's your man Dre, a.k.a. Dre on Wheels, and I'm out.
I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. 1130 podcast, Dre on Wheels, he is the one. Let's get it, yeah. Who with me? Let's get it, yeah. Who with me? Yeah. I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. Let's get it. 1130 podcast, Dre on Wheels, he is the one.
He the one, nigga.
So let's breeze, baby.
He the one.
Who with me?
So
yeah.
breeze, baby.
Let's get it. Who with me? Yeah, they gon' hate, but they ain't stopping this. I'ma keep making hits. Dre and Wills, you know it ain't no copying. Was you sitting there on the carpet with us? Yeah, we knew we had some options.